This is going to be a quick, no frills video on the Epson F2270, printing a job start to finish, starting with DTG, ending with DTFilm. We're going to do a back and we're going to do a left chest. I've got all these samples to do. I want to get them done, but I'm going to show you how I do them. Pre-treating is easy. You have a few options for it. You can buy pre-treated in a can. You can buy pre-treated shirts. I'm going to use the Mr. T1 here and pre-treat these shirts. It only takes a minute. I'm using Epson Pretreat diluted 50/50. The trick with pre-treat is always keep the machine clean. Don't let pre-treat build up in the lines. I always flush my lines. Don't let pre-treat sit in the line for more than 1 hour. I always flush it with a little bit of simple green, a little bit of water. As soon as you're done, and you're gonna get great results every time. The key to pre-treating is making sure that you have good coverage. It's really easy once you get started. I've got a full, perfectly covered shirt here, edge to edge. That's what you want. When I'm done, I take it, I fold the shirt in half, I fold it again, and now you can let these sit for a month or so, or you can take it right to your conveyor dryer or right to your heat press. Once your pre-treat is 100% dry, it's time to print. Let's go do that. Cool, so I pre-treated all those shirts. Now I have to dry them. It's pretty simple. You just need to make sure that they're 100% dry, plus putting it on the heat press will help iron out any wrinkles and make things smooth. You can use a conveyor dryer. Conveyor dryers are ideal for drying wet pre-treated shirts, but it's still good to take them to the heat press. There's no right or wrong amount of time here. It's just the shirt needs to be 100% dry, and then getting all those wrinkles out is really helpful too. Now when loading your shirt, you want to make sure that it's squared up. So your shirt is 100% dry. We're going to print direct to garment on the back. We want to make sure that it's squared up. The Epson printer has, or the Platen has, some features that help you do that. There's a notch here. The tag of your shirt can be right up on that notch, lined up. Then I always like to check the seams, make sure that the sleeves are good. From here, I'm going to put my hoop on. And we don't have to make any height adjustments here. It's on level 1. The print head will make adjustments as needed if there's any wrinkles or anything in here. That's what's nice about the F2270. We're basically ready to print.
I open my Art and Garment Creator 2, and in the layout settings I can set the size. Then in the print settings I can choose the ink I want to lay down. On a black garment, uses no black. Light color t-shirt uses color ink only, and dark color uses all colors including black. I'm not printing black ink on a black shirt, so I choose garment black. Now if I pre-treat it correctly and have a good shirt, I can just hit print, but I'm going to lay down a little bit more ink using level 4, and then I'm going to increase white base and the white top density just a little bit. There are a lot of other functions in Garment Creator and you can play around with them, but don't overthink it. Choose the ink configuration you want to lay down and press print. A lot more Garment Creator info at the end of this video.
So coming out of Garment Creator, we're just going to hit the start button and just watch this thing run. So while this is running, we'll talk about a couple things about the printer that makes it unique. The pixel size of the dots are much smaller than they were before in the previous generation, so the final product is going to be a little more crisp, a little more clean, especially when you're doing on white t-shirts, because the colors won't blend together. You can lay down a lot of color ink and you won't get a lot of blending of colors, so your brightness and your vibrancy is going to be much better on white shirts too. One thing to note, this looks super nice and bright white, and that's what you expect. If you don't see that coming out right away looking like that, then you have some issues. Those issues are probably shirt quality. Gildan's historically don't necessarily print that great. However, I've been running some tests and Gildan's actually look pretty good on this new printer. And I think that's because Epson is constantly making changes to their ink and they're rolling out new versions of ink without necessarily letting anybody know. They're just kind of running changes. It's just getting better and better and better. So generally you want a high quality ring spun cotton shirt. You want to pre-treat it well. Those two things are going to ensure that you get really good results. Also, you want to make sure you nozzle check before you print every day. The cool new feature on the 2270 is when you nozzle check, if it recognizes that there's nozzles that are out, you can clean those nozzles specifically and the printer will request that you do that. I've never had to do that. This printer's pretty much been solid. I had a few nozzles out here and there. I tried it and the machine actually said not enough nozzles out to do the auto nozzle cleaning. So just super reliable, easy going. Now it's printing color. Let's take a look. Not a lot of maintenance with this thing. You have your filter here that needs to be rinsed every once in a while, and over here you have your capping station, that needs to be cleaned every once in a while. Make sure you turn your printer off every day when you're done printing. That'll initiate a cleaning cycle. You can leave it off 5-7, Epson says 10 days. I generally do about 5-7 days, not a problem at all. Turn it on and then let it run through its cleaning cycle and turn it off. It circulates ink, there's really not much ink wasted at all. All right, so this is done. Now we'll take it over to the heat press. Now when we're heat pressing these shirts, it comes off the printer, it is wet. So if you touch the print to the shirt, it will kind of smudge it. So you want to be really cautious when taking the shirt off the printer and putting it on the heat press. You then need to put down a piece of parchment paper. I cure this. Try not to smudge the print when you put the parchment paper down on also, because it will potentially smudge. I'm at about 350 degrees for about 115 seconds. Very little pressure. We just need that heating element to just sit on top. 115 seconds, that will cure the shirt. The shirt needs to be subject to heat and time to cure and evaporate all the water out of the water-based ink. You can use a conveyor dryer, you can use a heat press. It will air dry to the touch, but it won't cure. There's a difference in a cured shirt and a dry shirt. This is how you cure it. And your location, you wanna run these tests, you wanna use this as a baseline, 314 degrees for about 115 seconds, use that as a baseline with white ink, then wash it. If it washes out, then you need to dry it a little bit longer. Either more pressure, more heat, or more time, or a combination of all three. Everybody's environment is different humidity levels everywhere you go. Here in Denver, this is what works for us. All right, now that that's done, take a look, nice and vibrant, looks super good. Now we're gonna do a left chest. Should only take a few seconds with DTFilm. Let's get started on that. So we're using DTF Pro sheets here. Always make sure you have the right side up, the printing side up. You can print on the back side and it won't work right. Simply laying our sheet down on the platen. Again, we don't have to make any platen height adjustments because the print head is aware that the print head will rise and lower a little bit. And then there's a little tip. I just put a little dab of water on there and that kind of holds the sheet in place. I do have some exciting news. There will be a vacuum platen coming soon, which is a pretty cool feature. So right now we're ready to go. I don't have to do anything different to the printer. All I got to do is change my art. Let's check it out in Garment Creator.
So now I can bring in my left chest and I hit the film button at the top. Now I want to lay this out and gang it up. I can do this in Photoshop, which I prefer. Show you how to do it in Garment Creator by duplicating the image. Hit the A+ button, and now I can duplicate this image. I can do as many as I want. I want 10 of them, so I'm going to make 9 copies, and then I'll set them up to fit in the sheet. With that, I simply choose the default setting, and I reduce the white base a little bit and the top density, so I'm level 3 and maybe -10, -15. You really don't want a lot of white ink. Too much white ink can be a problem. It will puddle and cause blowout issues when you go to the heat press. With that, press print, and we're ready to go.
So conveniently on screen, here's our DTFilm job, nested, ready to go. Again, we don't have to make any adjustments to the printer. So it's gonna lay down color first, as with any DTFilm printer. We're laying down color first. I say DTFilm because that's what Epson prefers. The acronym B, which I'm not gonna argue with. I kinda like DTFilm over the other option. Just feels right. All right, so it printed color and it's gonna waste no time and go right back in and print white. Now it's laying down white, as you can see, and this goes pretty quick. All right, this is done. Now, there was some static electricity from that print head going back and forth, so I'm gonna put it in my little convection oven for a second just to burn off some of that static electricity. This is an important step, people overlook it, and the reason I do that is because when I apply powder, sometimes the powder will adhere to the static electricity and kind of give you a little bit of extra powder where you don't want it. So not for very long, just to make that ink a little bit more tacky and burn off some of that static electricity. You can use this powder applicator. We sell all this stuff on Shopmelco. All the supplies you need are there for direct to film and direct to garment for the 2270. I like it, but a bucket, a big tube, a big plastic container will work equally as good. A little less messy probably too, though this is a kind of a cool little thing. So I'm just applying powder. I like to flip it over and get the other side too, or just to make sure that I have good coverage. Full coverage is critical. If you don't have full coverage, you're not going to get really good adhesion. Now look, see, we burned off that powder. and or we burned off that static electricity and you don't see any powder buildup anywhere. That's a problem that a lot of people run into that we just easily solved. One thing that you will want for sure is this curing oven, or a conveyor dryer will work, but this is how you're going to crystallize that powder and give those transfers kind of long life. You can store them and you can easily go put them directly onto the shirt without that powder moving around. This is how you crystallize the powder, and it's critical. Here, I'll show you a little closer up. Here's this little powder applicator, or this little curing oven. The new one has the filter built right into the top. I have this standalone one. Whatever, either one is going to be fine. These are affordable. They're a couple, maybe like 1,200 bucks, but they're essential. Here's the powder applicator. Cool little tool, but again, not absolutely necessary. And then here's all the sheets. You can get those on shopmelco.com. Here's a bunch of ones that are already done. You can see the crystallized powder. Now these can store on a shelf for years, and they'll be ready to go. I got a timer on there. I'm at about 280 some degrees for about 100 and I guess 15-20 seconds, something like that. That seems to do the trick. Okay, so it's beeping at me. This is now done. Let's go ahead and pull it out and take a look. Yep, so all of that powder has been crystallized. It looks great. That's durable. Now I just got to cut them out. Now I won't waste your time cutting these all out. Just want to show you that you cut one out. I like to get rid of the excess, just a little bit easier for placement. And then we're going to put this right on the left chest. Nice and vibrant there. Crystallized on the back. Setting up a left chest is pretty easy. What I do is I just thread my shirt on. I like to thread, by the way. If you can't thread your shirt on your platen, you should get a stand so you can thread your shirt on your heat press. It makes life a lot easier. I find this edge of the collar and then the center of the seam of the sleeve, right? And then wherever that mark is, that's where my left chest should be. So I'm gonna go ahead and center my design on my mark on my left chest, and I just use my finger to indent it. Looks pretty square, and then I pull the seams off the edge of the platen because I don't want to necessarily put a lot of pressure on those. With the heat press, lay down my sheet. Now, we want to be at 300 degrees for about 15 seconds. We're at 344 degrees, which is okay. There's some flexibility here. I'm still going to do, I'm going to do high pressure. So I'm going to bump the pressure way up, and I'm going to do about a 10-second smash here. I had it set to 115 seconds. So I'm going to pull it up at 105 and then take a look at it. I always warm peel. Even if it says hot peel film, warm peel. You want to give that a little bit of time to cool before you just go yanking it off. So generally in production setting, you might just do all of your jobs and then go back and then peel them. And then there's one other step after that. Always check to see if a corner will peel up. Looks like we could use a little more time. I'll show you why I think that. So as I'm going to peel it, notice it's kind of coming with it, right? So that'll happen. So let's just do a little bit more time. Generally 15 seconds at 300 degrees. We are gonna go about 15 seconds at 345 degrees, which is perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong way necessarily. It's like whatever works, right? Maybe I need a little bit more pressure. So be flexible. Totally fine to make these adjustments. Once you do it a few times, you'll know what works in your environment, and it'll go well. All right, and maybe it was because I peeled it was a little bit too hot. You know, I like a warm peel, some are even cold peel. Just give it a second. Don't commit to it unless it's ready, and this one is, right? So we just needed a little bit extra time, which is fine, and now we got a perfect application there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this back to the heat press, and I'm gonna smash it down for about 5 seconds. This is just gonna ensure that it's on there. And by on there, I mean on there. The direct-to-film is not gonna wash out, direct-to-garment is not gonna wash out as long as it's cured properly. That's an Epson guarantee. That's really, you know, one of the benefits to the Epson system is non-toxic, super durable, lasts the life of the garment. So that was it. I mean, with all the camera work and talking to you, this only took me about 15 minutes or so. If I was doing this just running production, I should be able to get a shirt done in about 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Margins are high here. Our cost is really minimal. This back costs about $2 to print. This costs about 20 cents to print. It's just really fast, really high quality DTG back, which I love. Breathable, soft, That's why you want DTG. This would be a really difficult transfer to try to sell. It would be sticky, it would be tacky, it would not breathe well, it'd be big, it would feel like a transfer. That's why DTG makes so much sense on the back here. And what a perfect application for a left chest is direct to film. You can put film on basically anything. Polyester, nylon, bags, golf bags, hockey bags, you name it, leather. There's a lot of things that DTFilm works for. And that's what's so great about the 2270 is it does it all. Reach out with any questions. Thanks for watching. Melco, baby.
You made it to the end, good for you. Now let's look at garment creator settings for a white shirt. I like level 3 double strike. You can easily lay down that much ink without colors bleeding into each other with the new ink dot size. Also, I like level 4 ink blot reduction. This lays down yellow first and then color, and this will give you great results. Try those settings and let me know what you think. Save a file to plug into the USB drive on your printer. Go to File, Export Job File to Computer. Label it and be sure it saves as a PRN, then you can drag it to the USB drive. Now let's set up the cost estimator tool. Click the calculator icon. Under local settings, this is the amount of shirts. I always create one because all we really need to know is the total cost of ink consumed for one shirt. Then we can multiply by how many shirts we're doing. Next is ink cost. Hit new preset, label it 800 milliliters, cost is 274, and the capacity is 800 milliliters. This brings your cost to 34 cents per milliliter, and that's really all we need. You can add other costs like shirt costs or maintenance, but all I really care about is knowing how much ink my job is going to consume. Whatever presets you make in print settings, you can calculate those costs just by hitting the cost calculator.